Welcome and welcome back. Hey, you may notice something different about this video. Different location, missing a person, sometimes that happens. But today I want to talk to you about the kettlebell snatch test. That's right, it's there. It's ever present in anybody taking the certification, or if you really want to just trust your mettle. Test how far you can go with the kettlebell and your endurance and your strength. There's so many avenues to explore when you attempt a snatch test, but I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what I did. All right, so to get started, the snatch test is basically simple as this: 100 snatches in 5 minutes. Seems pretty doable. In fact, it is. It may just take some practice. So there's a couple of things to do. One, set up a time frame to allow yourself enough time to get into this. I've done this before where I've gone, just willy-nilly, just trying and doing whatever I could to get there. And yes, I did eventually get there. It was freaking hard though. So let's make it easy. Let's set up a strategy that allows you time to develop the endurance, to develop the skill, and to develop the strength. All this culminating on the test day, whatever day that is. It's 5 short minutes of your life. So let's spend, I don't know, 8, 12 weeks, maybe even a little longer if you need it, getting it together. So how did I do it? Well, simple. I followed a plan laid out actually by the great Brett Jones for the SFG1 prep. That was part of it. And in that, I included snatch days and the snatch density days and all these days that he said. And I basically followed that to a T for about 6 weeks. And I thought, this is great. Then I started to refine just the things that I needed to work on. What was that? Well, pretty much endurance. I was mostly focused on endurance. I knew my snatch form was good, and I knew I could get through it with just the standards that were necessary to do so. So how did I do my endurance? Well, we do this thing called Kettlebell Corner. And if you haven't checked it out, give it a look-see, because in there, you're going to see that we ask these coaches, these people you may have heard of, people you may not have heard of, how do they approach the snatch test? And 2 of them stood out to me for this particular round of snatch test that I went through. One was Samantha Cha-Cha, and the other was Coach Maverick. And Samantha said, why don't you train something other than snatches? Take the bell out of your hand. Train your endurance in a different way. And Maverick said, just relax. That's right, R-E-L-A-X. Quote Aaron Rodgers. Relax. And I guess quote Maverick too. So these are the 2 things that I decided to hold on to and be the staple for the second half and finishing aspect of my snatch test prep, with one little special twist, and I'll tell you about that at the end. What did I do to relax? Well, I did just that. I just thought about relaxing. I loosened my grip. I didn't focus so hard on holding onto that bell at the top. When I got up there, opened my hand, let it go, let it flow, slow and low. That is the tempo, as they would say. What did I do to train without the bell in my hand? I took up running. I know, weird. But actually I found a lot of joy in that, and a lot of solace, and a lot of growth. It started out slow and it was hard. I'd run for a few minutes, I'd walk for a few minutes, then I'd run for a mile, then I'd walk for a mile, then I'd run for 2 miles, then 3 miles, and pretty soon I was busting off 6 miles at a clip. No problem, but it was a nice way to build that endurance and take the bell out of my hand and allow me to think a little bit more, in fact. Next thing you need is a strategy. Nobody can go into this willy-nilly, okay? You need to have a plan. And some people use the plan of 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. And you can see that gets really confusing, and that's too much for my brain, especially when I'm gutting through and trying to nail down 100 snatches in 5 minutes. I took the simple approach. It's the approach I used the entire training time. This is important. Don't change this shit up when you get to the test day. You need to keep it the same all the way up until you finish, basically. So I went 10 and 10. I would do 10 on the left, 10 on the right. Set the bell down, recover. 10 on the left, 10 on the right. Set the bell down, recover. And I used it in a every minute on the minute, or EMOM form, to get there. And you can build up to this by just doing timeless. Timeless is essentially going through the snatches, doing the 10, resting until you can talk again, not worrying about the time, but just tracking your time with a simple stopwatch. And then eventually cutting that down and then sliding in a practice. there are some extra words of wisdom when it comes to training for a snatch test, is that you don't actually have to complete the snatch test a billion times before you get to it. I do recommend completing it at least once in your life before you go to the test. That way you have that extra boost knowing that you can do it. But it's called training. So training at 70% and then at 80% and maybe push it to 90. But if you're going to go to 90, you might as well ultimately try and get a full snatch test in before your test date. 70% means 7 and 7 for the 5 minutes. 80%, 8 and 8 if you're using my 10 and 10 approach. Some people like to just go as far as they can. Boom, 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 bust it all out. Something to remember when it comes to the snatch test is you want to have it down. You don't want any guessing to be a part of your snatch. You want to know what your legs are doing when, how your breathing goes, when you pull, when you punch, when you relax the grip, when you pull it back down, when you hinge back. You want all this to be automatic. You don't want to think about it. This is really important because where we took the snatch test, we happened to take it at a Strong First level 1 certification. And when I was taking the snatch test, I asked Roger, as many of you know, he's not here, to coach me in this. He knows me quite well, and I am very receptive to him. I've been coached by him for years now. And we went into it, and one thing he noted after we were finished is that I was very coachable. I didn't question what needed to be said, I just did it, mainly because the preparation paid off. I prepared. I went in there without any mystery, without any guessing to happen. And I knew that I was able to focus because I built my endurance without the bell, I built my endurance and strength with the bell, and I took away the number one thing, relax. And in fact, I used a ritual for every set. Right before I went up there, I just took my hands, I threw them down, I breathed out, and I told myself in my head, relax. And all I had to do was 10 on the left, 10 on the right, and I'd be at a break. I just relaxed. And I only took those reps that were in front of me at the time, and I focused on just relaxing, driving with my legs and relaxing. Legs, relax, legs, relax, legs, relax. That was what worked for me. Probably could work for you. Ultimately, when it came down to the last 20, he just told me in my ear, he said, hey, just finish it out, all on the right. Just finish it out. You're in the groove, finish it. So that's what I did. I finished it, all right, 20 snatches. I was strong. There was no need to waste the time to switch. I finished with, I don't know, a few seconds to spare, 8 to 10 or something maybe. Who knows? It doesn't matter because you have 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how fast you get through it. So as long as when they start that 4 minutes and 59, you're on your last 100 rep and you set it down, okay? This is all it takes, or is it? So there's a thing that a lot of professional athletes and frankly a lot of successful people do, and that's called mental imagery or visualization. And this is one thing that I also did to finish out and round out my training for the snatch test. So what I did about 2 weeks or so left, I said, no more snatching. I know how to snatch. If I don't know it by now, I'm not going to know it. So I set the bell completely away from snatching. I did still train some of the skills and still kept myself sharp, but I wasn't attempting volume with my snatches. I was still running because I wanted to keep my endurance high. I was going to go all the way up until test day, and I was on a training program. But I switched. I visualized it all. I went so far as to setting a 5 minute, every minute on the minute timer, sitting back for 5 minutes and visualizing every rep, every hike, every hinge, every leg drive, every relaxation point, every punch, every drop, all of that. I did this over and over. I did it for 5 minutes at a time. I did it for 10 minutes at a time. I did it for 1 minute. I did it whenever I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, let me just think about this a little bit more. I did it in the shower. And this is one little bonus technique that worked for me. So there's lots of things you can do, and there's lots of ways to approach this. But the number one takeaways for me to share with you when you're going to attempt a 100 rep kettlebell snatch test in 5 minutes is this. Create a plan, stick to it. Give yourself enough time to execute that plan and be ready. Train a little bit without the bell near the end and relax. And don't forget that bonus, visualization. These are the things I did. If you have any questions or comments on how to perform a snatch test, please leave them in the comments below. And if you're looking for a way to enhance your training and actually pass this snatch test, get the help of the Bells app by Iron Revival. Download Bells by Iron Revival in the Apple App Store and just set that 5 minute timer up and go. If you're preparing for the snatch test and you want a program to follow, hey, hit us up, theironrevival@gmail.com, and we'll send you one right to that Bell's app. All right? If you need anything else, be sure to hit us up on all social media platforms. And as always, stay strong.